In this episode, we're going to uncover the deepest secrets of angelology. Is that the real word for the study of angels? That sounds fake.
It does sound fake, but it actually is the word for it. And it's the study of those different levels, the idea that there's a hierarchy of angels.
We are going to uncover the secrets of angels, archangels, cherubim, seraphim.
And I hope we're going to cover Lucifer.
Yep, and even where his angels came from. And if you stick around, we may just reveal to you what kind of angel you're going to become. Hey everybody, welcome to the Swedenborg in Life podcast. My name is Curtis Childs. Our show is the complete guide to angelology. Dr. Jonathan Rose, thanks for joining.
Hey, thanks, Curtis.
This is a subject, I think what we say here today is going to be controversial and hopefully clear up some confusion. I think there's been a lot of confusion about angels. Haven't you seen that thing where if you say to AI, draw a picture of a biblically accurate angel, and it has this like thing with all these eyes and wings and scary, not what you'd see when your grandma visits you at the foot of your bed after she's passed.
She never has more than two eyes.
So there's an account from a man who met more angels than anybody in the history of the human race, as far as I know. This would be the scientist, inventor, turned visionary and seer Emanuel Swedenborg. And he gives you not just what angels are like, but why the Bible has those descriptions of them, and our relationship to angels. What's up with Lucifer, and is he actually a fallen angel? I don't know. People, you leave a comment, you can disagree or agree, but I think this is a really satisfying explanation for this whole thing. And it also gives us some marching orders of like, this is how you act on this.
That's a great point, because lots of people can weigh in on one side or another of this issue, but the marching order piece is something that Swedenborg just excels at, and also getting this kind of rational system. Otherwise it's just whoa, there's this and there's that, there's different levels, but like, who knows? How do you know, and what difference does it make to your life?
There's got to be a rational system, because everything else in the physical world operates by rational systems. Is there a rational system for angels? The first grenade we're going to throw is that angels, all of them, are actually evolved human beings.
That's right.
And I don't mean I mean like they're dead and you become an angel in the afterlife. So the Greek word, look at me acting like I know Greek words or anything. You can let me know when I'm wrong. The Greek word angelon is what's used in the New Testament to describe John the Baptist.
Oh, right. The dictionary entry is angelos, but angelon is another form of it. And
I'm already out of my depth.
So the verb angelo is where it comes from, and that means to send a message or to deliver a message. And so angelos originally just meant a messenger. Then it came to mean a particular kind of messenger, meaning an angelic messenger. And once it meant angel, it didn't get used much as just like somebody, with a message for, like a courier or something who comes in with a message.
In the Bible, they're used interchangeably.
Absolutely, yeah.
So they're
the same thing.
Translators took it on themselves to say, oh, this means angel, which is this different kind of being. This means messenger, which is, because obviously John the Baptist is a human being.
Right.
Also, in the Hebrew, malach is the word that's used in the Old Testament. So this is what Sweden...
And a similar root, from what I understand. An idea of message.
Okay. So this is how Swedenborg says he went to the afterlife, saw how angels are, and actually saw why the Bible was written the way it is, what the sort of divine soul inside of it is. Here's the explanation for what an angel is and what it symbolizes in the Bible. Here's how it works. In the highest sense, which is the highest internal sense of the Bible, an angel symbolizes the Lord in his divine humanity, which that would be Jesus Christ.
Right.
And in a secondary sense, it symbolizes a divine quality of the Lord's present in heaven with angels and also in the church with people. Okay, wait,
Right.
I'm already confusing the audience. What we're talking about here, like my
There's a
alarm
lot in
bells
there.
are going off.
Right.
What he's saying is whenever you see that word, which is angelon and malach, I'm sure I'm pronouncing that wrong, in the Bible, what that means is, the highest sense, it's the divine humanity of God. And in the secondary sense, it's the quality of God who is present in heaven and in the church, which means people in the world who have heaven inside them. How are people going to stay interested in this? Go.
Yeah, so there's a lot to unpack in there, isn't there? And one piece is just the idea that there are multiple levels of meaning within the Bible, because a lot
Yes.
of people think there's only one. And so the idea that there's not only an inner meaning, but that there are multiple layers of inner meaning that apply to different things, that's pretty heady. And then without even leaving that sentence, Swedenborg is already saying, yes, and that also correlates with levels of, you have God at the top, and then you have higher and middle and lower levels of heaven. And so sometimes you're talking about qualities of divinity as it came down into a human being in Jesus,
Yes.
who was God made flesh, the Word made flesh. But then also angels, and he's talking about what they mean in the Bible,
Yeah.
because they come up a lot. They're major drivers of action all
yeah.
through the Bible. The Christmas story is full of them.
Oh, yeah.
The Book of Revelation is full of them. But they show up in the Old Testament and the narratives, all kinds of places. And what he's saying is that they're manifestations of divine qualities, of different qualities. Like, this is the divine quality that's needed in this situation. This is the divine quality that's needed in that situation.
Yeah, that's what it is. It's the angel phenomenon. Yes, you can encounter angels. Lots of people do. Lots of people have stories of angels.
That's right.
But
You don't need to stick with the Bible for that, like lots of other people experience angels. Yeah.
If there wasn't the Bible, people would still, I don't know if they'd use the same, people still, they'll call them guides or beings of light, guardians.
Right.
What that phenomenon is a divine quality coming down through different layers of existence. So from whence springs angelness? It is about the divine humanity of God. Whatever, who knows exactly what that is, but something about how God is the essential person, and we're made in the image of likeness of God. Then that quality of what it is to be angelic, like the love and the wisdom from God. When somebody in the afterlife, which you've died and you go to the afterlife according to Swedenborg and all these near-death experiences, when you invite that quality into you, when God's life is flowing into you, have that love and wisdom in you, then you're an angel because of the presence of that quality. You wouldn't ever say like, oh yeah, I saw this angel, but they were super cranky. Then you wouldn't call them an angel anymore.
Right.
But then everybody says, oh, you're like an angel to me. You're like an angel. You throw that term around for really great people.
Yeah.
That's because that same presence of God is present with them. So angel is just the existence of this divine humanity of God within someone.
Yeah. And again, I would say even on the level of with other human beings down on this planet, what you mean when you say someone's an angel is particularly something they did or said, right? It's not that they're sitting in front of the TV with the remote or something. They're, when they're doing something in your life, like you needed something and they came through for you and more than was necessary. And you think,
Yes.
you are a total angel.
Right.
You're talking about that function, what they did for you, right?
Exactly.
And
So
the quality, the heart and the mind that went into that.
we naturally, without anyone prodding us to do it, group those things together because I think our souls are aware of some deeper truth.
No, that's right.
Okay. He continues. It follows then that an angel is also a divine quality of the Lord's present with people on earth who accept it. People endowed with love's goodness and faith's truth, received from and returned to the Lord, which I want to talk about that, become angels after death. And those who become so are so on the inside while living in the world.
You're already there in
Yes.
some deeper part of yourself is already playing that role.
Faith's truth, received from and returned to the Lord. So I would think returned to means, do you love me more than these? Feed my sheep. You've done this to one of the least of my brethren. You did it to me. So I would think if you receive love and faith from God, so the truth and the love, and you go and do good things for the human race, let's give it back to God because that's what he wants you to do, then you have this connection and then you're an angel. So some people are angels on the inside while living in the world. Swedenborg continues, that is why the word calls John the Baptist an angel. As in Luke, he is the one of whom it has been written, here I send my angel before your face, who will prepare your way before you. Luke 7:27. Now, people who have read Luke 7:27 probably would say, hey, wait a second, it doesn't say angel, it says messenger.
Right.
Because what do you mean he calls John the Baptist an angel? However, it's the same word that elsewhere in the New Testament is translated angel. So Swedenborg is saying, it's the same. Don't translate the same word as two different things. John the Baptist is called the same thing that any angel in the book of Revelation or any angel in the Christmas story is called.
And you can see how, let's pause for a moment, just consider the horrible situation of people who have to translate. It's just so awful because you can't help but have your filter. You try to get around it, but if your filter says people are not angels, then when it says John the Baptist is a blank, oh well, we got to use messenger this time because he couldn't be an angel. So right, so it shapes your word choice.
This is a personal conversation for Jonathan Rose because he is the series editor of the New Century Edition translation of Swedenborg's works, and he sees me here on the airwaves totally needlessly and carelessly blasting some biblical translator who is much smarter and more learned than I am, and he's like, how do you fix this broken world? You're doing a great job, translators. And also, it could be that there's a different explanation staring us in the face.
And by the way, this passage that he's referring to, who said that of John the Baptist? This is back in the Old Testament. If memory serves, I think it's in Malachi, but I'm not absolutely certain. And so it'd be interesting to see what word is used there too, because it says, I'll send, this person to come before me, kind of thing.
Yeah.
And again, it uses that word. So they're translating the Hebrew,
Yes.
And I didn't look it up, but I imagine it's Malach in there.
Well, yeah, it is from Malachi. It's Malachi 3:1. And that actually ends this passage from Swedenborg. He says, the fact that the angel in this passage is a divine attribute of the Lord's present with John can be seen in Malachi. And then he gives you this verse, which is, watch, I am sending my angel who will prepare the way before me. And suddenly to his temple will come the Lord, whom you seek, and the angel of the covenant, whom you desire. I was going to ask you, why does Swedenborg say
that's great right there, because
why does it relate?
Well, first of all, when it says angel of the covenant, that's interesting because it seems from a Christian perspective, obviously to be about Jesus. He was going to be the angel, he's the angel of the covenant who was coming, it's about, the messenger will be John the Baptist, the angel of the covenant will be Jesus. Jesus is a human being. Like if you have the human angel problem, you've got it in the second half of that verse as well as the first, if you see what I mean.
Yeah.
That by referring to as angel of the covenant.
I think people watching right now might be sort of divided into two camps. And one is, why are you doing so much angels dancing on the head of a pin? Isn't that the origin of this phrase?
That's right.
Why are you trying to sort out, did he mean this or that in the Bible, when there's the real world and there's so many problems in it and challenges and living, breathing things? Why are you sitting here teasing this apart? And then other people might be like, oh, this is fascinating because I've been wrestling with this. And how do you, I think there's supposed to be a convergence of the two, that it's meant to be that the Bible talks to the problems of the world really effectively. and talks to you about your individual problems and enlightens really effectively, which you can do some of now, but a lot of it remains obscure and sort of shrouded in mystery. Getting this stuff straight should open it up to where, oh yeah, obviously you'd have these things in conversation. No, correctly understanding the revelation allows us to solve problems in the real world.
And isn't, this may seem like a huge tangent, but isn't a lot of fantasy literature, movies, etc., about humans of different types, and you see some that are like, this is a vampire, they have extraordinary powers, or this is like a fairy that has this amazing,
Yep.
And aren't they about how, like, in some cases they're people who develop these abilities, or they're growing in the abilities and so on. Swedenborg's saying that the Bible is saying that's about how we can become, I mean, this is a kind of silly way to put it, but your own superhero in a way, right?
Yeah.
It's about how you can develop these abilities that angels have, how you can become that. And if John the Baptist is part of the club, then the club can fit, and anyone can join. It's right.
Yes, it's actually extremely important, because this is sorting out what's the point of your life. What's the point of your life? The truth is, the point of your life.
This is not just sort of a little add-on that, on the weekends I'm also
angels.
Training to be an angel.
This is what the point of your life is, to become an angel. That's it. That's what this is all for. So knowing what that is and how you become it is of utmost importance. And there's a lot of, if we're going back to the Bible, there's a lot of passages in the Bible that indicate that, this is what we are and should become. I'll give you two quick ones. Revelation 21:17. Then he measured its wall 144 cubits according to the measure of a man, that is, of an angel. And then Revelation 22. Now I, John, saw and heard these things, and when I heard and saw, I fell down to worship before the feet of the angel who showed me these things. And he said to me, see that you do not do that, for I am your fellow servant and one of your brethren, the prophets, and of those who keep the words of this book. Worship God.
So the angel's making a big distinction between the angel and God.
He's saying,
don't be worshiping me. I'm in the same boat as you are. I worship God. I'm just you a few years down the road, right?
And this then brings everybody, whether you're interested in the Bible or not, together, because the point of existence is a heaven of angels from the human race.
There's a great piece of clarity that Swedenborg put. I mean, there's some of these things that Swedenborg says that really, to me, when I really latched hold of that, it sort of helps you understand so much of what's going on in this crazy life cycle,
Yeah. So what's the thesis? What drove all of this? What's the intent, the big intent behind it? Swedenborg, just gives you a very clear, straightforward answer. The point of it is heaven from the human race, a heaven of angels from the human race. Yeah. And let's read what he says about it. And then I was going to start talking about what that means, but let's stay, because he's probably about to say that. The Lord did not create the universe for his own sake. This is a good insight into the nature of God. The Lord did not create the universe for his own sake, but for the sake of people he would be with in heaven. By its very nature, spiritual love wants to share what it has with others. And to the extent that it can do so, it is totally present, experiencing its peace and bliss. Spiritual love gets this quality from the Lord's divine love, which is like this in infinite measure.
That's a mouthful. I mean, that's really something.
But now what we're doing is we're trying to reconcile these ideas of angels and God and religious stuff with the experience of love.
Yes.
And people...
The L word entered the conversation.
And there's very few people who don't believe that there's such a thing as love, or don't speak of it as like, there's something real serious here that really matters, and that there are things that are higher, and there are things that are good. So when he says spiritual love, that's Swedenborg's term for what I think most of us would call genuine love, a real love. Because you can say, oh, there's the where you love someone, but it's actually just you're codependent with them.
Right.
Or you love someone, but it just really means you want them to do what you want. Or you say you love someone, but you won't really do something for them.
You're dependent. Yeah, you're dependent
But
on them.
spiritual love, I don't think anyone would argue that actual love wants to share what it has with others and is happy when it can make them happy.
It just made me think, I was trying to think of an analogy, but it made me think of situations where, let's say, if you play music and then you have children and then you want to play music with them, but they're way too little to begin with, and then bit by bit over time, as they grow up, you're able to start to share this and enjoy it with them, and actually play together and make music together, like that satisfaction of like, I have waited a long time for this. This is really, really fun. This is the kind of connection that I've been looking for. So imagining something like that between God and us, of like, ooh, I have whole worlds inside here that I'm longing to share with you, so we can connect about these fun things.
Yeah, because you could have like theological explanations for why the universe might exist. You get them. It was so that God could be praised by his people, or so that God could experience himself. He was curious about what he is like, or there's
the kind of the mirror theory that
yes.
God wants to see himself in a mirror, and so says, and if it's reflected in a whole bunch of people, then he starts to get a good look at himself.
Or the deistic, he just did it and then took off,
wound it up, and
so those
doesn't matter anymore.
Those are some things that can sprout out of just sort of religious thought. However, you could just pose the question to anyone who's lived around life long enough: what if love itself designed the universe? Why would it do that? For what purpose would it do it? It would have to be love. If we agree that it's like, well, when you really like are feeling an actual state of love, it's the state of like, I want to make you happy. I want to make you happy, and also like I want to be with you in that happiness, right?
Right.
So
right.
that then suddenly, but all over the lips of all kinds of religious texts and people is saying God is love, that God and love are connected. This purpose for the human race, that it's for the sake of the angels God would be with in heaven. That brings to me those two things together: love itself and the idea of a creator, supreme intelligence. That's what the universe, that would have to be the point of the universe in order for those two things to coincide, unless you just redefine love to be something that's not really the thing we experience as love.
And it sort of explains one of the great mysteries, which is why people get a little bit happier as time goes by, even as old age comes on and you have physical problems and so on. They're still getting happier. And scientists say this is true of all different cultures around the world and so on. It's a mysterious thing. But if there's a development of the spirit going on, that the Lord's getting a little closer, that they're receiving something that compensates for the loss of other things in their life or people in their life, that's the happiness is growing nonetheless, because we're on this eternal, I don't even want to call it an arc. I don't know what shape the line is, but it's an eternal.
So anytime you say growing spiritually or something, it just means becoming more of an angel, He continues, it then follows that divine love, and therefore divine providence, has the goal of a heaven made up of people who have become angels and are becoming angels, people with whom it can share all the bliss and joy of love and wisdom, giving them these blessings from the Lord's own presence within them. He cannot help doing this because his image and likeness is in us from creation.
And that's another important element that Swedenborg emphasizes, and he's not the only sort of religious tradition that has this, but that the divine, there's a humanity, in some way the word human applies to God, like where we get our humanity is from God, that there's human qualities in God. And so when God came down in the flesh, it was human. It wasn't an animal or a tree or something else.
Yeah.
There's something essentially human there. And then the idea that we would be on this developmental track of becoming more and more human with these qualities that really come from the divine.
It's such a weird thing. God is human. What does that mean? The only thing that I really grab onto from that and makes sense to me is Swedenborg will emphasize it's important to think of God as a person.
Yeah.
That you could say, hey, I need your help right now, or if you were here, what would you do? Or you probably like that when something. That's what it is to, okay, God's a human. That's something you can form a relationship with.
Yeah. And I've wrestled with this a lot, and Swedenborg doesn't talk about this particular aspect that I've seen, but to me, sense of humor is kind of a human quality. And so the idea of a divine sense of humor, of juxtaposition or story, or there's by seeing some things that I think are a divine sense of humor has helped me feel like, it's not just, gravity clearly has no sense of humor, right?
It can create humorous things, though.
Yeah.
So in the spirit of it's about love for the human race. As we look at these categories of angels, there are different categories of angels, but it's not like the hierarchy you might see in a medieval court, where there's certain people or angels who are favorite of gods and closer to God. It's more like the different functions in the human body. So there's different organs and they do different things, but it's totally co-essential. This is Heaven and Hell 391. All the communities in the heavens are differentiated according to their forms of service, because they are differentiated according to their virtues. However, all these tasks are things the Lord does by means of angels, since angels do not do them on their own, but from the Lord. This is why the deeper meaning of the word angels does not mean angels, but something of the Lord. And this is why angels are called gods in the word. That famous passage, ye are gods.
Yes. There's another interesting thing of like angel equals human, angel also equals God. You get, and I was thinking earlier, I don't know if this comes up later in your notes there, but the whole idea of the angel of the Lord in the Bible, it'll say the angel of the Lord, and then after that it just says the Lord, the Lord, the Lord. It's like, well, is that the Lord?
Yes.
Who is that? It's confusing sometimes in the biblical stories.
Speaking of confusing, let's talk about archangels.
Oh, yeah.
I think people think about this a lot. Did you know, actually, that as far as I can tell, the word archangel is only found like twice in the Bible. I'll give them to you. It's 1 Thessalonians. For the Lord himself, with a cry of command, with the archangel's call, and with the sound of God's trumpet, will descend from heaven, and the dead in Christ will rise first. And then Jude 1:9. But when the archangel Michael contended with the devil and disputed about the body of Moses, he did not dare to bring a condemnation of slander against him, but said, the Lord rebuke you. So 2 times that word archangel is used.
And can I do a little more Greek? Because I don't think we've had enough in this show yet.
This show lacks Greek.
The ARCH, means ruling. So when you talk about an arch enemy or something like that, that's of all your many, many enemies, that's the ruler.
I hate to just
enemies.
pick one.
I know.
It's like the other enemies are going to feel bad. They're going to become worse enemies than me. Just
so now he's the arch enemy. What am I?
Chopped liver enemy.
Right. And so archangel is kind of ruler angel, but I think the way people have taken this, I don't know, but my sense is that it's like, oh, this is just a different type of being, just as like there's a difference between a muskrat and a horse or something. This is an angel, this is an archangel, this is just a higher order of being.
Well, it must be, because we're going to talk about the named angels in the Bible. We got Gabriel and Michael, and you think about even by the time the Bible was written, if we're going that angels are people who have died, how many millions of people would there have been in the afterlife? But Tons. Yet God's got like a couple of like this. Here's my executive team is got Gabriel, got Michael. That's wow, really? That's how it works?
Yeah, there's just like it's less than 10, right? There's just a handful of them. I think there's only maybe 3 that are overtly mentioned in the Protestant Bible.
Yeah, and their names don't mean what you think that they mean. This is what Swedenborg learned about the named angels in the Bible. It's True Christianity 300. Gabriel and Michael are not the names of 2 people in heaven. But those names mean everyone in heaven who possesses wisdom about the Lord and worships him. So these angels are actually a certain quality, just like we were saying before. We were saying like being an angel is a quality of God. Gabriel is a certain... Angel means you're accepting any quality from God. Gabriel and Michael are these certain particular qualities of God.
Oh, that's great.
If you accept them, then you're a Michael, or you're on Team Michael, or you're performing function Michael.
Right. I love that. That's fun, isn't it? And then it's not down to that one individual, and then nobody else gets to have that fun. I mean, that's open to people. That's a spirit.
Yes.
Sort of like people tell me there are many Santa Clauses. I didn't know that, but there are many. But pretty much anybody who throws on a beard and stuff,
Yeah, that's right. Like we're gonna go see Santa at the mall.
Yeah, and you recognize Santa right away.
Yeah,
you know.
I was gonna give a career example, but I think your Santa is the right one here. This is from Heaven and Hell 52. Sometimes a whole angelic community, and this is off of Swedenborg's reported eyewitness experience, so you can judge for yourself if you believe it. Sometimes a whole angelic community appears as a single entity in the form of an angel, a sight that the Lord has allowed me to see. Michael, Gabriel, and Raphael are nothing but angelic communities that are given these names because of their functions.
The function. It's always it's not about their being, it's about their doing. It's about their function.
You can even see it's Michael. Like people have visions where this archangel is there. That thing you see maybe according to Swedenborg, like this is the representation, this is the image projected of all that community working together. It can sort of an avatar of that's the way things work in the spiritual world.
That's right. This is another strange feature of what Swedenborg says about the spiritual world, is that there's a kind of radical oneness that whatever unit you're talking about, an entire heaven or all of heaven, all the heavens together, or one community of heaven, or just a group of people within that community, when seen in a certain light, will just look like one person, not many. And so, yes, what you see, what was seen in the Christmas story when the angels, show up to announce things, it says, I saw an angel, and then there was a heavenly host, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like sort of one suddenly becomes many.
Yeah, oh yeah. Linus in Charlie Brown Christmas gives that whole soliloquy quoting from the Bible. There was with the angel multitude of the heavenly hosts.
That's right.
I think you're going to like this next number.
Okay.
Well, there's something in it that I feel like was a surprise to me, but maybe you're already hip to it. And it goes along with just what you're saying. In the word, the singular angel may be used when in fact very many are meant. That is so here, where the expression the angel of God is used in Exodus 14:19, meaning the pillar going before the children of Israel, which was composed of very many angels.
Oh, wow. That is fun.
Had you heard that?
That hadn't stayed with me if I did.
So he's saying that that pillar, obviously it wasn't physical if it's composed of angels, but they were seeing a spiritual, I guess like all of them at once, able to see, or is it just their leaders? I forget the story. See a pillar, the pillar.
They're all following it, so I don't know, but yeah.
It doesn't maybe specify, but that was actually, how do you make that pillar? How does God make things and do things? Through his messengers. So it's a bunch of angels leading them.
And it's called the angel of God.
Yeah, because
it's got one function. It's a leading function.
You got to understand, people. Angels, they think in the collective. To be an angel, one in case you want to be one qualification of being an angel is you genuinely don't want to be seen as better than anybody else, or is more prominent, or it's to stand out above anyone else.
It's not a big lone wolf culture, is it?
Well, just and not because you would feel, you don't derive enjoyment from that. That doesn't satisfy you.
Right. He talks about these choruses that people get into, and they're hard to understand what he's talking about. But after you die, people get sort of socialized into these groups that are doing choral speaking, sometimes singing, but mostly
Yes.
speaking together.
Yes.
But he's very clear, no soloists. You know, like if you, I'm feeling it, and then you go up on a riff. It's like that's not what we're doing.
Right.
You know, we're not doing you're special. We're doing this together. It's interesting. It's weird.
Yeah.
Because definitely this country that we're in here has been very, very like on the leading edge of the greatness of individualism. You know, like it's so great, the individual. It's all about, there was something like Saving Private Ryan, where everything is like take the entire armed forces to try to rescue one person, you know, kind of thing. Like it's about the individual.
In the angelic mindset, that veneration for the individual gets transferred to veneration for God.
Yes.
Like that's where you would put that energy.
That's right.
Is that because you see clearly what matters is all these people. There's so many people who should be made happy and are in distress in different ways. And the only one who can really help them is God. And what you would realize is, I care about that problem getting solved. God can do it. How can I possibly be of service to that? I would never want to, given the seriousness of the situation, I would never want to try to redirect some of that toward myself. You don't have to be like that in your life. I'm just saying this is how angels, the more angelic you get, the more like that you get.
Yeah, and it's not that angels don't care about your individual uniqueness. No, they know very, very well that everybody, they have those powers we've talked about before on the show, where they can look at your hand and they can see what makes you tick, how you're different than other people. You know, they celebrate that, and they know that everybody's different. There's no two people ever, and the idea that there ever would be makes them sick. You know, they love that
there would be
variety.
the same.
But still, it's about different things working together toward a common goal. That's what they love.
Yeah, I don't know if anything on the internet is true anymore, especially in today's era when anything can just be fabricated. However, I've seen a couple of times this like meme that says there was this guy who collected photos of people rounding into home base who had just hit a walk-off home run. So in baseball, that means you just hit the ball so far that it goes out of the playing field and nobody can catch it. And not only that, but walk-off means you won the game with that home run.
Oh, wow.
Like the score was where it was, or the innings were, so that you win the game with that. And so when you're rounding the bases after a walk-off home, your whole team is up at the plate like, yeah, because you're coming back and you won the game.
You're
for all
victorious,
of them.
yeah.
So he collected pictures of that because he says he thinks that's what it's like when we're getting welcomed into heaven. Like that's what the angels are like. And I think it's true. So it's not like, oh, it's all a collective. Well, you number 431 are coming in today. Well, you could have come in tomorrow. Like it's like we are so excited for you.
Yeah.
In particular, we've been waiting for you.
Yeah.
Like this is, and at the same time, there's no ego in the whole. There's an intense love for the individual, intense differentiation of the individual, and also there's no competitive ego. There's no desire to be ranked above your fellow human beings.
Yeah, in fact, the people who are in leadership positions there are the humblest, the most servant-oriented.
Right.
Ironically, those are the people who kind of, if there's a top, those are the people who rise to the top.
Well, not that things aren't structured that way, but the motivation isn't there. Yeah, so it's the way people feel about it is different. Okay, I'll finish this quote. It says, "None of the names of angels is used in the word to mean one particular angel. Instead, some actual function performed by angels is meant. And so also the Lord's divine nature in respect to that function."
And it's sort of like saying, I mean, I suddenly think of other examples, like the terms mom and dad are used right?
That's
They
right.
they apply to all different people, but they're functions, and you would use them of somebody when in that capacity. Right?
For example, even if you're at, let's say, the airport, and they're like putting your luggage through, and they know you're a family, they say, "Okay, Dad, can you bring over that?" You're not there, Dad, but they know in
But
that context, you are the dad, so they say that.
Yeah.
They wouldn't say that to you if you're on a business trip, even if they knew you were a father.
Yeah, that's right.
This is Apocalypse Revealed 5:48. Michael does not mean some archangel. Neither does Gabriel or Raphael, but ministries in heaven are meant. The ministry that is Michael there is performed by people who confirm from the word that the Lord is God of heaven and earth, that God the Father and the Lord are one as soul and body are one, and that one must live according to the 10 Commandments, and that a person who then possesses charity and faith.
Wow. So Michael, because Michael's associated in the Bible with battle, right?
Yes.
And so it's interesting that it would be that these are people who are very, very strong in those teachings and kind of making the case. And so anybody who was doing that work would be, I've even wondered whether, was Swedenborg a Michael, or did he relate to Michael? Because he has some Michael energy, in terms of like that. Those are the main things he's teaching in his book.
And it's interesting. I don't know if this is a fair observation or not, but I feel like this is from Swedenborg's book Apocalypse Revealed, which I feel like that is a very theological book of his. If you look at, for example, Apocalypse Explained, which he wrote out as describing the book of or explaining the book of Revelation, but didn't publish, his explanations there are much more sort of broad and life-facing, whereas in Apocalypse Revealed, it's very theologically facing. That's the explanation. Michael has got these couple of doctrinal points, whereas I believe elsewhere he just talks about Michael as angels who use the truth to defend people.
That's right.
Which that could be somebody. So, I think...
That's interesting. That's an interesting point.
Because
in my head, that's what Michael, like the short story on Michael, is kind of truth fighting against falsity. That's what I think of Michael.
So this could be a subset of that. He's giving individual truths. But okay, so let's let him continue to make his own case for himself. Gabriel, on the other hand, means the ministry performed by people who teach from the word that Jehovah came into the world and that the humanity he took on there is the Son of God and divine.
And that's why Gabriel would be involved in the Christmas story, but Michael is fighting the dragon.
Oh, yeah. That's right. So
it even depends on which teaching, in this account, which teaching they specialize in this particular truth.
Yes. So archangels are real in that there's really that powerful force. You really could see a being and say, this is the Archangel Michael. It could come and protect you, or it could come and teach you.
Yeah.
According to Swedenborg, what you're actually seeing, just like when you see an individual person, it's actually a big amalgamation of a bunch of cells and organs and tissues, all these living things acting as one. Michael is so many angels who were people in the world, who now give back to God what's his, who love you, who care about you, care about everyone, and are really skilled in using the truth in whatever way to protect. It's really there. It's just that it's not that there's one being that is sort of God's lieutenant. We all go to become part of God's lieutenants.
And one of Swedenborg's big things is that it's an opt-in program, isn't it? In other words, if you think of God setting this thing up from the beginning and saying, okay, I'm going to have these super, super special angels. They're going to be my favorites. Let's face it. Gabriel, Michael, Raphael. No females in there for some unknown reason, but and then we'll have these other layers of angels below that. And that's so different than saying, oh, we could be part of Michael. We could be part of Gabriel.
Yeah.
That club is not closed. It's not restricted. Anybody who gets on board with that message and wants to convey it.
And why so many people? Why so many people? Michael gets stronger every day.
Yeah.
because there's more people who are going to join the Michael ministry or the Michael function or the Michael company in heaven.
And I can imagine it being applied in different ways to, okay, here's somebody's suffering. They need this right now. And somebody else knows how to deal with, trauma or something. So,
Yeah.
okay, this is what you need. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Expanding the Michael franchise,
Yeah.
the brand.
Now, you may be a Michael or a Gabriel or a Raphael or somebody else when you get to heaven. Hey, this is Curtis from the show that you're watching right now. This show is brought to you by the not-for-profit Swedenborg Foundation. If you want to support us in our mission to get a broad conversation going around the works of Emanuel Swedenborg, click the link in the description, make a donation. That is what makes it so we can do what we do. Thank you so much for your support. Let's talk about Hell's Angels.
Okay.
Or I guess the Devil's Angels, since we don't want to get sued by the Hell's Angels
That's right.
motorcycle people. There are these characters in the Bible that are the Devil's angels. But if you take which is like, that's a whole, how did the devil, then what is even an angel? How did the devil get angels? But if you take the system we had before, if that word for angel is the word for messenger, means that, and that an angel, as we traditionally think of the term, is the qualities of God coming through on all these levels, it would be the qualities of evil.
Yeah.
And actually, Swedenborg, just like Michael and Raphael and Gabriel, are not single individuals.
Right.
The devil and Satan are not single individuals.
Seems to be a theme, doesn't it?
Okay, this is Revelation 12. And war broke out in heaven. Michael and his angels fought against the dragon. The dragon and his angels fought back, but they were defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. Okay, so I guess let's just get into this. Is Apocalypse Explained. There's an explanation for what does this battle symbolize? What does it mean? Why do we hear about it? It is said that the dragon was seen in heaven, and now that war was made with him in heaven, and afterwards no place for him and his angels was found in heaven, and yet he is called in verse 9 that old serpent, and also the devil and Satan.
Yes.
And some may wonder how the dragon, who is the devil, could be in heaven and could have a place there until he was cast down, and yet there's never any place for the devil in heaven but in hell.
Good questions.
I feel like Swedenborg makes the same kind of objections to the literal sense that you hear modern critiques of how does the Bible make sense of this?
Yeah, it's fun. I always love it when he does that.
The matter is thus. The dragon and his angels mean those who acknowledge God and the Lord and declare the word to be holy and also stand for the church and its doctrine, but only with the mouth and not with the heart. They do not do this in heart because they make no account of life, and those who make no account of life are interiorly devils. However much exteriorly they may appear exteriorly like angels. They may exteriorly appear like angels. I had to face my fears there because I was like, I can't say exteriorly, and then I had to say it like 6 times.
Right. Swedenborg will take you into your darkest fears.
Okay, but
that's a really interesting
So
explanation.
what's the devil? So in this case, what's the dragon that attacks and has to get cast out of heaven? He's saying that it's religious hypocrites.
Yes, good way to put it. Right. That's right. And so interesting. It really is a helpful explanation. I don't remember hearing that before because otherwise you need to explain, well, why aren't evil spirits or demons or, all these things called angels anywhere else in Scripture?
Uh-huh.
Because to the best of my recollection, they This isn't something that comes up again and again. Oh, yeah, that's the usual term for it. No, this is very unusual. And so it's almost like there's scare quotes around it or something, like the devil and his so-called angels, using that because these are church leaders, these are prominent people who are seen in a good light. They seem to be on the good team.
So why is that so bad? Why would you pick that as we're talking about arch enemies? Why is this the people who have all the trappings of religion and yet he says don't apply them to life, make no account of life, which I know he means from elsewhere, that you live evilly.
That's right. The way that you live, the things that you do, how you treat other people.
You are bad. You
matter.
Engage in a lot of bad things, and yet you have this outwardly facing life that looks pious. Why is that?
And you talk a good game.
Why would that be the dragon, who's the devil and Satan? Such are called devil and Satan because they have defiled the truths of the word by a life of the love of self and the love of the world, and by evils that have gushed forth from these loves like bubbling waters from their fountains, and because they have applied the literal sense of the word to confirm such a life. Such persons, more than all others, are serpents, since they are more noxious than others, for they can draw over to their side the simple good, who are in the lowest heaven, especially by means of such things as they take from the sense of the letter of the word and pervert.
Yeah, so I've been so interested for a long time in when Jesus came into the world. I don't know who was alive at that time, but throughout history, you've had your people like Genghis Khan or Mithridates or people who were, powerful and just killing like so many people to get their way, warlord types and so on. And Jesus doesn't seem to go after those guys. Instead, it's the Pharisees and the Sadducees and it's the church leadership. Like, whoa, really, dude? You're going after the church leadership is who you have a problem with, not the worst people on earth who are killing tons of people. And the best explanation I've been able to come up with so far is that if religion fails, like if you've got religion, if religion is strong, religion can tell you that Attila the Hun is not a nice guy. You can figure that out. It's if people are using the things of religion, like they're using the Bible or sacred scriptures of whatever different kind, and they're corroding that thing that's supposed to be the solution. If the solution is no good, for some reason what's popping into my mind is like if you were cleaning your house and then someone snuck something awful into what was supposed to be your bleach or the thing that's supposed to help with that problem, and it's you've got mold in there instead of bleach or something. That's yes, you're going to have mold, but you need to have something that counteracts it. And when that fails, that's why he needed to try to come and fix the religion thing. And this seems so similar.
It seems like antibiotic resistant bacteria. So
huge problem.
There can be a lot of bacteria out there that cause disease, and sure, they're bad. But that's not as big of an issue as if there's a strain that develops that the medicines we have can't do anything against.
Right.
That's why you got to guard against that and continue to innovate and watch how you. That's why they tell you, by the way, when you get prescribed a course of antibiotics, why they're like, you got to take all the days of this. You got to take it all 10 days.
Yeah.
Because if you don't, there might be some that are a little resistant to it, and then
they'll only get stronger.
Yes, right.
Wow.
So if the medicine for the human race is, as you said, it's religion. And even when I say that right now, a lot of people will be like, oh, come on, it's not. Why do people have that reaction?
The problem.
Why do they have that reaction?
Yeah.
Because of the dragon.
It's because of the dragon. Dragon's alive and well. Yeah.
So if You have in history any number of examples of, well, we're going to go and commit this atrocity, and we're going to say, God says it's okay if we do this.
Yeah.
Then,
That's right.
What's the antidote?
Yeah. What's that scripture about the salt has lost its saltiness? Then what?
Like that's somehow like that's cutting off the windpipe. Like that needs to be addressed. That's more serious than anything.
That's more
else.
serious. That's right. Even than gangrene in another part of the body, or
Right.
whatever you might call it.
It is said that they were seen in heaven, and they are fought with Michael and his angels, because the word conjoined them with the heavens. For people are conjoined with the heavens by means of the word. But when it was ascertained that they were in other than heavenly affections, they were cast down out of heaven. Nevertheless, after the last judgment was accomplished, it was provided and ordained by the Lord that henceforth no others but those who are in spiritual faith should have conjunction with heaven. And spiritual faith is acquired by a life according to the truths of the word, which life is called charity.
So there was an upgrade
Yeah.
in there. Swedenborg talks a lot about the fact that there were, I think it's a combination of simple, good-hearted people who have a lot of respect for church leaders and that sort of thing, combining with these hypocritical church leaders who talked a good game on the outside, and they but were really nasty and leading them in the wrong direction. And that combination was what created this sort of false heaven. It looked like heaven because there were heavenly people who bought into it, and because it had some of the trappings on the outside. But what the Last Judgment was about, which is what the fight with the dragon is talking about, was showing that for what it really is, and casting that down.
So related to this, was kind of an outgrowth of this. Lucifer and Satan, or those names can be used interchangeably and are not an angel who fell from heaven.
No.
Heaven and Hell 3:1:1. Angels want me to testify on their behalf that in all heaven there is not a single angel who was created as such in the beginning, nor is there in all hell a devil who was created as an angel of light and cast out. Rather, all the people in heaven and in hell are from the human race. In heaven, the ones who have lived in heavenly love and faith, and in hell, the ones who have lived in hellish love and faith. Hell as a whole is called the devil and Satan.
There you go again. It's sort of an aggregate.
Yeah.
There's a name, and the reason that you have devil and you have Satan, Swedenborg explains. Does it go on to say this?
Let me see if he does a good job.
Unbelievable.
Here. Okay. The hell at the back, where the people called evil demons live, is the devil. And the hell that is in front, where the people who are called evil spirits where the people live who are called evil spirits, is Satan. They insisted that the reason the Christian world has adopted this kind of belief about people in heaven and people in hell is that they have taken a few passages from the word, understanding them only in their literal meaning.
Yeah. And so without something deeper within to guide them in their thinking about how this works, which, as we said at the beginning of this show, is losing sight of the developmental piece of what a human being is, or what the potential is and all that.
Also, you're not about to just like fall out of heaven. This is from Last Judgment 66. Once people have been received by the Lord into heaven, they can never be plucked out of his hand.
Yeah. No, that divine power, there's nothing, it's nothing greater. And so the Lucifer, that this Latin term meaning the light bringer.
Yeah.
And that's from Isaiah 14, which is associated in the Bible with Babylon, which is interesting because Swedenborg has a lot to say about what Babylon means. It means exactly what we're talking about, which is that why it's the light bringers that looks so good, right? It's something that the bright and morning star uses that same language, I think, in that passage. It's something that looks really good, but then, it goes south. It sort of uses that
Right.
charm and ability to draw people astray and take them down.
So this is this is where Lucifer comes from. This is Isaiah 14. When the Lord has given you rest from your pain and turmoil, and the hard service with which you were made to serve, you will take up this taunt against the king of Babylon. How you are fallen from heaven, O day star, Lucifer, son of dawn. How you are cut down to the ground, you who laid the nations low, you who said in your heart, I will ascend to heaven. I will raise my throne above the stars of God. I will sit on the mount of assembly on the heights of Zaphon. I will ascend to the tops of the clouds. I will make myself like the Most High. But you are brought down to Sheol, to the depths of the pit. So it says it right there in it, like you say this to the king of Babylon.
And you can hear the arrogance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be higher than God. I'm going to be better than,
Yeah.
right?
And that's not even actually about the king of Babylon. Because I'm not going to say that to the king of Babylon. I don't even know if there is a king of Babylon right now. I think it's been vacant for hundreds of years.
You Google the number, you get nothing.
That's right. That goes right to voicemail. This is Swedenborg explaining what that Babylon means. Babylon or Babel means a church, and this is good, means a church made up of people who use the holiness of the church to try to rule over the entire world. Because the church affects people. It hooks into some special...
It's a temptation. It's a power. And people like to use whatever power is available. It's like, hey, we could use this to do what we want.
They try to do this by ruling over people's souls, claiming for themselves the power of saving whoever they want. Eventually, they even try to give themselves rulership over heaven and hell. And here's how he talks about like the fall that happens. A church made up of this kind of person is not the same over time as it was in the beginning. In the beginning, the people are in a state of fervor for the Lord, for the word, for love, and for faith, and especially for saving humanity. However, there is a passion for dominance and rulership that lurks within that fervor.
A hidden agenda or something that comes to light over time.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
Oh, but hey, this is going well, so we could use this.
As time goes on, the passion for ruling grows and eventually breaks out. To the extent that this passion is acted on, the holiness of the church becomes a means to the end of ruling. When people's goal is to rule, then the holiness of the church is used as a tool to serve that goal, and so as a means of serving themselves.
Yeah, you use people's natural sense of, well, like, no, I should be good, I should be obedient, or these are the rules, I should follow these, and then you manipulate people using that good quality that they have.
I think Swedenborg would even say, like, using the Bible, that there's something in the Bible or in other sacred texts that has power for people.
Yeah.
It matters for people.
Yeah. If you can show somebody from the Bible, absolutely. That's right. Swedenborg's so big on priorities, isn't he? Just like, yes, you can. A lot of people are looking for the same things, Yes. Everybody wants similar things. But which is more important to you? And if it's like, no, I want it to be about love. I want to help people. That's great. If it's because like, hey, and I'm the boss and I can control people, and then this other thing becomes second, that's where it all flips upside down.
When this happens, they not only attribute to themselves the power of saving souls, but also credit themselves with all the Lord's divine power. By doing this, they pervert all the goodness and all the truth of the church. The reason that Babel is called Lucifer, son of the dawn, is because in the beginning, is it Babel or Babel? I guess people say both.
Yeah.
In the beginning, Babel is a church that has a fervor for the Lord, for the goodness of love, and for the truth of faith. However, within the pastor's fervor lurks a craving to use the holiness of the church to rule over everyone they are able to subject. This is why Babel is called Lucifer, son of the dawn.
That's great teaching. It's just wonderful.
Yeah.
And what you miss if you got a devil who's up here and then something goes wrong with, and they're cast out and they take a bunch of people with them from heaven, and then now they're down in hell. As you say, it erodes your sense of who God is, or God's ability to sort of retain, like the retention aspect, right? Not doing well in that aspect. And it misses the free choice that's in there and the moral lesson. Like if this is just something that happened to somebody else, oh yeah, there was this guy Lucifer, and now you just got to watch out for him, or don't say that name too much or something. And, it kind of misses the point of that we all have that in us. Swedenborg says we've all got those tendencies.
You monitor yourself for those tendencies.
Yeah.
Make sure they don't.
Hey, I could really use this,
Right. Yeah. And you don't have to do it a lot. Just every once in a while, do an inventory, make sure that you're not participating, just like you can participate in Gabriel and Michael, and make sure you're not participating in Lucifer or Satan or the devil.
Yeah, that's right.
And then everyone will be doing great. Then let's talk about Satan. I mean, since we're already in the sort of dark alley portion of this show.
Let's go for it.
This is from Luke. The 70 returned with joy, saying, Lord, in your name even the demons submit to us. He said to them, I watched Satan fall from heaven like a flash of lightning. See, I have given you authority to tread on snakes and scorpions, and over all the power of the enemy, and nothing will hurt you. Nevertheless, do not rejoice at this, that the spirits submit to you, but rejoice that your names are written in heaven. This is Swedenborg explaining in Apocalypse Explained. Both the devil and Satan signify hell. The devil signifying the hell from which are evils, and Satan the hell from which are falsities. This hell is called Satan because all who are in it are called Satans, and the other is called the devil because all who are in it are called devils. Before the creation of the world, there was no devil or Satan who had been an angel of light and was afterwards cast down with his crew into hell.
For some reason, I find the name Satan scarier than the devil. I don't know why. Something about Satan. That's right. An intense name. But it's interesting that Swedenborg does clearly there associate the devil is like the embodiment of evil. Like that's what it means. Yeah. And just as we said with the archangels, anybody who's embodying that evil at that moment, you are a devil. And people can say that to each other, can't they?
Yeah.
Like some devil got in here and took my stuff totally. Or something, right?
Well, and I'm thinking of even Jesus using that to describe his disciples. So
yes.
Doesn't it?
He certainly calls Peter Satan. He says, get behind me, Satan.
Get behind me, Satan. That's just when Peter has said, like,
you don't have to do the crucifixion.
Don't do the crucifixion, or don't tell people you're doing it. Like, he gets it wrong. He doesn't know the truth. Like, he gets
that's
it wrong.
Right. And so that's the falsity is Satan. Satan is the wrong
and I guess
thinking.
This doesn't come right out of Jesus' lips, but there is something in the Christian catechism or something that says, you pray that the devil will not enter your heart like he entered Judas's heart.
That's right.
To make him betray the Lord. Like, that was like an evil act, so that's the devil. Satan is a false understanding.
Yeah, I love that. I love that clarity, because it helps you understand different scriptures. So when Jesus says, I saw Satan fall like lightning, that's because they were telling people the truth, and these old ideas were like, it just, as soon as you hear something that makes so much more sense, down it goes.
Well, and people might say, well, wait a second, why? He says very clearly there, Satan, it's he's talking about a person, why are you making it symbolic? However, obviously some of that verse is symbolic, because as Swedenborg points out,
treading on scorpions, or what?
And this is the next. Right? This is AE 544. Plainly, serpents and scorpions do not here mean serpents and scorpions.
I love Swedenborg.
Everybody knows that. You don't think, well, Satan fell like lightning from heaven. Now let's go crush arthropods and reptiles. Let's go step on them. Go out into the wilderness, find them, step on them. It's obviously a metaphor for certain kinds of dangerous ideas or something. So
and people refer to people as like, oh, they're a real snake. You got to watch for them or something.
For the Lord says that he saw Satan as lightning fall from heaven. and that he gives them authority over all the power of the enemy. Therefore, in the inner meaning, serpents and scorpions symbolize the crew of Satan, who were in craftiness and direful persuasiveness of falsity, by which people after death are spiritually murdered, unless they are defended by the Lord.
You know, if you don't understand who God is or what we're doing here in the world or who our neighbor is, and there's very, like those wrong ideas can cause a lot of trouble, pain, and everything.
Right. That the Lord delivered the spiritual world from these and like spirits is meant by his seeing Satan falling from heaven. So it kind of ends up almost literal, because it really, that the falsity really did fall from heaven, and by giving to those who are in truths from good, from him, authority to tread on serpents and scorpions. Again, it's not just a couple of disciples the Lord had. Anybody who is in truths from good. Now, I will pause 1 second because I'm going to ask you what that means. Anybody who's in whatever that condition is, you too could step on metaphorical snakes and scorpions. So what is this in truths from good? I know you've had a whole riff on prepositions in Swedenborg.
Yeah, that's right.
So what is it? I want to do that.
Specialty.
I want to be able to step on things that are dangerous and harmful to me. What does it mean to be in truths from good?
Well, the in part would mean that you're focused on them, you're devoted to them. They're really a central, doesn't sound like much in truths, like being in this room and then a moment later we'll be in a different room. It's not like that. It's that really you've made a home in this because you're very devoted to this. And then the truths, he talks about goodness that comes from truth and truth that comes from goodness. And it sounds like, it's just 6 of one, half dozen of the other. What's the difference? There's a huge difference, which is that where we start out is that we go from truth to goodness, which is going from, well, somebody said I should be a decent person, so I guess I'll, not be such a jerk to you right now. It can be sort of obedient, going through the motions, but it's getting you in the direction. It's starting the siphon, where you're starting to be a more decent person. When you really get to the point of goodness, because everything is about where it comes from. If you're coming from goodness, if you got goodness in your heart, you really want to care about somebody, help somebody. The truth that comes from that, you're constantly seeking, how can I be more effective at loving and helping this person or doing this job or whatever, how can I do a better job? The truth that comes out of that love, if you're devoted to that, you're in good shape. So that's what I don't know if that makes any more sense than what he said, but that's after years and years of wrestling with those prepositional phrases, I think that's what's going on in there.
I love it. That's great. That's a great explanation. Thank you. We're going to close today talking about cherubim and seraphs or seraphim.
Yes.
And also living creatures. Those may be interchangeable, but these are all, they make their appearance in various places in the Bible, and these are radically different than angels or archangels because of the way they're described. And according to Swedenborg, these are a different class of things. They are not ex-humans. They are representative beings.
Yeah, that's right.
So this is Revelation 4. In front of the throne, there is something like a sea of glass, like crystal. Around the throne and on each side of the throne are 4 living creatures, full of eyes in front and behind. And the 4 living creatures, each of them with 6 wings, are full of eyes all around and inside.
Inside. Inside is where you especially don't need to have eyes.
What are you looking at?
Yeah, right.
So it's obvious, it's a very bizarre description. What could be the meaning of that? Why would that be there? It has to have some kind of meaning. Swedenborg writes, the 4 living creatures, each individually having 6 wings about it. This symbolizes the Word in respect to its powers and protections. Wings symbolize powers because they are means of rising upward.
So these are divine qualities in a way, but
Yes.
they're not embodied in. Oh, hi, I'm a seraph, or
Right.
I'm a cherubim. Here's my.
It's an
name.
image of how the concepts can lift you up. Concepts can lift you up.
And the wisdom. It's almost a creepy. I hate to say that about the Bible, but all the eyes and all the wings, there's kind of terrifying image. I think that's the way a lot of people have taken it over time. But it's a view of that kind of omniscience. The amazing thing about the Bible is this. I love this idea that, like, you read it and it reads you. Like these sacred texts can sort of tell you who you are. They can sort of mirror you back to yourself. They have eyes.
Mm-hmm.
They have eyes, and not only eyes on the outside, but eyes within. Like they see at a deep level who you are, and can lift you up, as you say. The wings and both of those things are characteristics.
Well, and then Swedenborg gives a little explanation of how it's not just arbitrary that the wings mean this here, and he's not just making it up in this one spot. He writes in Secrets of Heaven, the meaning of wings as spiritual truth or religious truth that receives its power from goodness is plain from other passages in the Word. When wings are attributed to the divine, they symbolize divine truth, which is omnipotent. Take, for instance, places where they are attributed to the guardian beings who symbolize the Lord's providence, as in Ezekiel. There were 4 faces to each guardian being and 4 wings to each. Their wings pointed up, the wing of one toward the other. They each had wings covering their bodies. I heard the sound of wings as the sound of great waters, like the voice of Shaddai. As they went, I heard the sound of commotion, like the sound of a camp. As they stood, they let down their wings. I heard the sound of their wings kissing each other, and the sound of the wheels alongside them. The sound of the guardian being's wings was heard all the way to the outer court, like the voice of God Shaddai. The likeness of a person's hands was under their wings. So this is something that, and you look at the reference there, he just says Ezekiel, and then he quotes a bunch of different chapters, verse. He'll make these composites.
That's right.
Of a bunch of Bible verses.
That's right.
And I guess that's something you did in those days, or was that unique to him?
I don't know if other people were doing that to that extent, because he doesn't do it as much early on. As he goes, he gets more and more bold about, I'm going to put this all together and bring things from different parts and make one picture out of it. But it does sort of reflect the mental. I find that awesome when you read that.
Yeah.
That these are definitely awesome. So there's something divine about these creatures and what they stand for.
Well, and I think we won't linger, but I will read through. I'll just give you the flyby of what do all these details mean.
Okay.
The wings pointed up, the wing of one toward the other, represented the way everyone is brought together in the divine. And that's cool. The fact that the wings covered the beings' bodies meant that divine truth covered the divine goodness from which it radiates. Divine goodness is a fire, and divine truth is the light given off, which surrounds and envelops the fire. The sound was heard as the sound of great waters, symbolizes the nature of divine truth as it exists in heaven. So does the sound of it was like the sound of the wheels, and like the voice of Shaddai, because a sound and a voice are ascribed to divine truth. The sound of great waters is mentioned because water is truth. The sound of the wheels is mentioned because the wheels are true teachings, and this is because chariots are teachings about truth. The voice of God Shaddai is mentioned because God Shaddai is, many names of God, there's that one, is truth chastising us during times of trial and comforting us afterward.
I love that.
The likeness of a person's hands under the wings symbolized the omnipotence divine truth possesses, because hands stand for power, and in the highest sense, when attributed to the Lord, for omnipotence. From this, you can see what was represented by the wings of the guardian beings on the appeasement cover atop the Ark of the Covenant, which
very,
spread
very
upward
prominently placed wings. That's right.
And shielded the appeasement cover, by the guardian beings on the curtains of the tabernacle, and on the veil, and also in Solomon's temple, and by the guardian beings around the new house described in Ezekiel. You can also see what is symbolized by the 4 living creatures around the throne in Revelation, each of which had 6 wings for itself all around, and by the seraphs standing above the throne in Isaiah 6, each of which had 6 wings.
So he's really covered the seraphim and the cherubim there.
Yeah.
Those are both Hebrew plurals, so the plural of seraph is seraphim.
Yes.
cherub is cherubim. But cherubs, as from the description you just gave, have nothing to do with those little cute,
Cupid.
little Cupid character. No, we're not talking about that. These are kind of awesome creatures representing something divine and not a person or not some created, the way something manifests.
Yep.
It's a manifestation of something divine. And particularly about the way that Scripture works and how it looks out for us.
It's like a vision or a dream. In my dream, I saw that there was this mountain or statue or something, and I knew that it kind of meant, like, we know
it means something.
Or in movies they'll have, like, there's something, but we know it's sort of a storytelling device that's representing something else. All right, last number for today. As Apocalypse Revealed, we'll hear a little bit more about the cherubim. As regards the wings of the cherubim, we read in Ezekiel that their wings kissed each other, and that they had wings also covering their bodies, and that they had the likeness of hands under their wings. Kissing each other symbolizes conjoint and unanimous action. Covering their bodies symbolizes protection against violation of the interior truths which constitute the spiritual sense of the word, and having the likeness of hands under their wings symbolizes powers. Regarding Seraphim, too, we are told they had 6 wings, and that with 2 of them they covered their face, and with 2 their feet, and with 2 they flew. Seraphim likewise symbolized the word, or more accurately, doctrine drawn from the word. The wings with which they covered their faces and feet likewise symbolize protections, and the wings with which they flew symbolize powers as before. Okay, so just like, there's so much. It's complicated. Who knows what it means? But just to show, it's not arbitrary. It's not like, oh, this means like this city here. This is technical. This is technical. There's a lot of information encoded in this.
Other passages that talk about kissing, yes, it always has to do with some kind of conjunction and bonding between a couple of things, and that hands so often mean power. It's just quite clear. He gets great riffs going about scriptural passages about hands.
But we'll end on a note that I think you can get something emotionally clear about.
Good.
That flying symbolizes to perceive and teach, and in the highest sense to foresee and provide, is clear as well from the following. God rode on a cherub. He flew and he traveled on the wings of the wind. That's like poetic.
Beautiful.
And what it means is, from his vantage point, God can see what's going on for you, and he's going to lay out a path for you, and the path is to make you into an angel so you can participate in the purpose of creation, which is everything we've been reading about here, but the end result of all of it is deep happiness, the happiness that God wanted to share with the human race in the first place, which was the impetus for all of reality.
There's a power that wants to help us on that journey, and all the different beings that we've talked about are ways of helping us get there and helping us become helpers to help other people get there.
Thanks, everyone, for getting there with us. We're here at the end of our show. Great thought to send us out on, Jonathan. Hopefully, we've given you guys all a new way to think about angels. And hopefully that does translate into making the world more of a heaven, and then leading us all on the path to getting that right state of mind. So thanks, Jonathan.
Thanks, Curtis.
Thanks, everybody, for watching. We'll see you next time.